So I am back with another crochet video. Winter is in full swing over here in the North Atlantic. I woke up today and thought, what a better time to prepare for summer. So today's video is going to be a crochet crop top. This tutorial is beginner friendly. You don't need to know many stitches to make this top. The top is going to be made from bottom and up, and it's going to be made for a size small. But if you want to make it in a bigger size, I will have all the info in the description down below. This top is super easy to make, and as always, the pattern will be written down below. Also, if you decide to make this top, please share a picture on Instagram and tag me because I would love to see it. So without further ado, let's just get started. So what you're going to need to make this top is some scissors, a yarn needle, a crochet hook size 4 and size 5mm, a stitch marker, and I'm just using a safety pin for this. And you're also going to be needing some yarn. I've got some DK yarn here. I'm using both cotton and acrylic yarn because that is the only thing that I had today. I would have preferred to use only acrylic yarn or something that is lighter than cotton, but I am trying to use up my yarn stash in 2021, so this is what I'll be using today. Of course, you can use whatever DK yarn you prefer. I have about 100 grams of yarn here, and I hope it is enough for this top, but if not, you'll be the first to know.
It's enough.
So let's just get going. So I'm going to start with my 4mm hook, and I'm going to make a slip knot, and then I am going to chain 12. And now we're going to single crochet into the second chain from the hook, and then single crochet all the way down our chain. Then I'm going to chain 1, and I'm going to turn my work, and now I'm going to be making 1 single crochet into the back loops only all the way down my chain. Then I'm going to chain 1 again, and I'm basically going to be repeating row 2 until I have a total of 94 rows. And that is going to be for a size small, but if you want to size up, just add 6 additional rows for each size. So if you want to make a size medium, you make 100 rows, and a large 106 rows, and so on. But I'm making a size small, so that is 94 rows for me. Yeah, you're basically going to be repeating row 2 until you have the rows that you desire, and I will meet you there. Alright, so now I am back with my 94 rows of the ribbing, and then we're just going to be putting our 2 ends together and slip stitch them shut. So I've still got my 4mm hook. I'm just going to slip stitch right into the first stitch here. And do that just all the way down your chain. And I'm just slip stitching into the back loops of both sides. just like that. And now I'm going to flip my work inside out so that the seam here that we just slip stitched will be on the inside of the top. Now I'm going to change to my 5mm hook, and I'm just going to be slipping that right in here. And now I'm going to chain 1, and then I'm going to make 94 single crochets all the way around my ribbing. Just remember that if you are making a bigger size, just add 6 stitches for each additional size. It doesn't really matter where you put your stitches, just make sure that they're placed evenly around. And since I'm making a size small, I am making 94 stitches around. And I'll just meet you when I have reached the end. Okay, so now I'm back with my 94 single crochets, and I'm just going to slip stitch right into the first single crochet that I made. And now I'm going to chain 1, and I'm going to turn my work, and then I'm going to make another 94 single crochets back around my work. And we're basically going to be repeating this pattern until we reach the length that we want. Make 94 single crochets, chain 1, turn your work, and another 94 single crochets, chain 1, turn your work, and so on until the top covers your boobs, or just until it reaches whatever length you want it to be, and then we can start making our strap. Also, just to explain a little better how you single crochet in the round, when you reach the end of your row, you just slip stitch into that first single crochet you made. Then we're going to chain 1 and turn our work, and then we make our first single crochet into that same stitch. Always make the first single crochet into that same stitch, and then you can continue on with your round. And also always remember to turn your work after each round, and I will meet you when we have reached our desired length. Alright, so now I've reached my desired length of the top. I made 24 rows, and that is 15.5 centimeters, which is 61 inches. And now I am going to start making the strap for our top. I'm still using my 5mm hook, so I've joined my 24th row, and I make sure to turn my work. And I'm going to count out 25 stitches, and I'm going to place a stitch marker into that last stitch. So I'm going to count just 1, 2, 3, 4. 25, and I'm placing a stitch marker into the 25th stitch. Now if you're making a bigger size, just add 2 stitches for each size. So if you're making a medium, count out 27, if you're making large, count out 29, and so on. So now to start row 25, I just insert my hook back into the loop here, and I chain 1. And then we're going to single crochet 2 stitches together. So how you do that is you just insert your hook into the first stitch, pull up a loop, then you insert it into the next stitch, pull up a loop, and then pull through all 3. Then I'm going to single crochet all the way to the second stitch from my stitch marker, which is this one right here. So I'm just going to single crochet all the way over there. Then we're going to single crochet these last 2 stitches together by inserting our hook, pulling up a loop, insert your hook into the next stitch, pull up a loop, and pull the yarn through all 3 loops. Now I'm going to turn my work once again, and I'm going to chain 1, And then I'm just going to single crochet all the way across until we reach our first stitch right here. Alright, so I've reached the first stitch, single crochet into that one, and then turn your work once again. And now I'm going to chain 1, single crochet 2 together, then I'm just going to single crochet all the way to the third last stitch, or until 2 stitches remain. Then I have 2 stitches remaining and I'm going to single crochet those 2 together. And then we're just going to repeat those last 2 rows until we have 3 stitches remaining of our strap here. So just to go over it again, I'm chaining 1, turning my work and single crocheting all the way to the end. Then I am chaining 1, turn my work and single crochet 2 together. Then I'm going to single crochet to the third last stitch and then single crochet the 2 last stitches together. And just repeat those 2 rows until you have 3 stitches remaining, and I will meet you there. Okay, now I've reached the point where I only have 3 stitches remaining, and I'm going to chain 1 and just make 3 single crochets across. Then I'm going to chain 1 and turn, and I'm going to be repeating this 10 more times. So 11 rows total of 3 single crochets. So I make 1, 2, 3, chain 1, turn, 1, 2, 3, chain 1, turn.
2 very boring minutes later.
So now I have 11 rows of 3 single crochets, and now we're going to start increasing. So I'm going to chain 1, turn my work, and we're going to make 2 single crochets into the first and last stitch. And I chain 1 and make 5 single crochets back. Then I'm chaining 1 and again making 2 single crochets into the first and last stitch. And then we're just going to be repeating this until we have 25 stitches. Or if you're making a larger size, just remember to add 2 additional stitches for each size. We're basically just doing the decreasing but backwards. So we're adding all the rows back to this piece because we're going to be sewing it to the back of the top. And just repeat those 2 rows until you have 25 stitches, and I will meet you there. Alright, so now I have my 25 stitches on our strap here. I'm just going to start by flipping my top inside out. So now that we have this ready, I'm just going to lay it down flat on top of the front piece, like so. And I'm gonna turn it around and just insert my hook into my loop here. And I'm just going to be crocheting it stuck to the back. So I'm just going to go right into my first single crochet here, and I'm going to skip this stitch that is right above our slip stitches on the side of the top, so this one here. Go right into the next one, pull up a loop, and pull that same loop through our 2 stitches on the hook. So I'm going into my next stitch, pulling up a loop, going into the next stitch on the back of the top, pulling up a loop, and pulling that loop through our 2 loops on the hook. So once again, I'm going into my next stitch, pulling up a loop, going into the next stitch on the back of the top, pulling up a loop, and pulling it through these 2. And we're going to do that until we are at the end here, and then we can just fasten off and weave in our ends. So now I'm at the end of the row. I'm just going to chain 2 and then cut off my yarn and fasten off. You can see that we have a little rib here from where we attached the backside of the strap, but that's okay because we're going to flip it inside out. And this is what it's gonna look like. So now we just have the edging left. I wanted to do the ribbing really similar to this one, only smaller. So I'm going to be making a slip knot. And I'm going to be using my 4mm hook for this. Just going to slide that right in here. And then I'm going to start just at the side of the top right here. It doesn't really matter which stitch you start on, just make sure that it's on the side of the top. So I'm just going to be attaching my yarn to this stitch right here. And I'm going to attach with a slip stitch, like so. Then I'm going to chain 4 and turn my work, and I'm going to single crochet into the second chain from the hook and down my chain. So that is 3 single crochets. Then I'm going to slip stitch into the next stitch, which is this one here, and into the next stitch after that as well. And I'm turning my work again, and now I'm going to make 3 single crochets into the back loops only of my little chain here. So that is 3 single crochets into the back loops only. Then I'm going to chain 1, turn my work, make 3 single crochets into the back loops only, all the way down my chain, slip stitch into the next 2 stitches. Turn my work, and you're going to just repeat that pattern until you're at the bottom of your strap right here. And I will meet you when I am here. Okay, now that I've reached the bottom of my strap, you'll notice that there aren't really stitches to work into as such, but you can just slip stitch into the next space and into the next space. Just wherever you see fit. Just make sure to distribute it evenly. And then we're basically just going to be repeating that same thing, just single crochet into the back loops only. And we're going to do this all the way around our top until we reach the beginning right over here. And I will meet you at the last stitch. So now I've done my ribbing all the way around, and now it's time to slip stitch these 2 edges together. So I'm just going to go into my first stitch and the first stitch up here and slip stitch these together all the way down. Like so. Then I'm just going to chain 2 to fasten off and cut my yarn. And I'm just going to take my yarn needle and weave in my end. Then we're just going to do the exact same ribbing on our other side here, and then we're basically done with the top. So I'm just going to be attaching my yarn in the armpit over here and doing the same ribbing around the armhole. Then we can fasten off and your top is ready. Thanks so much for watching this video. Feel free to subscribe if you haven't already, and I will see you in the next one.